now lead at 6-1. And it's ball 4 to force in a run. And Defoe grounds one toward the hole. That gets through for a base hit, and that'll tie up the game. And he's hit by the pitch, and that loads the bases. And he takes ball 4, and the Nationals take the lead.
What a complete blow-up here.
The Rocket Mortgage breakdown. Mets were 12-2. They blew a 5-run lead late in that game, and it all kind of went south from there. 32-57 since after that 12-2 start. Get Citi Field for Free Shirt Friday, August 3rd, when the Mets take on the Braves at 7:10 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive a groovy Mets t-shirt courtesy of Premio Sausage. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/tickets. Mets and Nats from D.C. one way or the other. First pitch is coming right up. Last few games, hits leadoff for the 8th straight time. Austin Jackson gets his 2nd straight start in center field. Jeff McNeil, his 4th straight start at second base. Kevin Plawecki again behind the plate as the Mets go up against Tanner Roark for the 4th time this year.
Well, see his Toyota numbers, not good, but before his last start, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not going to worry about all the little stuff they want me to do, the mechanics. I'm just going to go out there and have a feel for pitching like I've had my entire life." He went 8 innings and struck out 11 against the Brewers.
And we'll take a look at the Jeep Dodge Chrysler Ram national defense. Anthony Rendon is back, and he is in the lineup at third base. Juan Soto, the sensational left fielder rookie year. What a fantastic year he's having. And of course, Bryce Harper. How can you not mention his name?
He's still here. Ahmed Rosario leads off against Roark, takes the first pitch on the corner for a strike, and we're underway. Rosario 0 for his last 14, matching the longest 0 for of his brief big league career. Nimmo and Flores to follow. And he hits one on the ground toward the middle of the diamond, off the backhand of Murphy, and the Mets have a leadoff base runner. Murph's been swinging the bat a lot better lately. Running the bases okay, but his defense has really suffered, and he couldn't make that play, and Rosario's aboard.
Well, Murph made a fielding blunder in that big inning down in Miami. They won the first 2 games in Miami, lost the final 2. Murph made a critical error in a Miami win.
Waiting for the scorer's decision.
Oh, come on.
They scored an error, as well they should, but it took them a while. So a leadoff base runner. Here's Nimmo, and Brandon takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Nimmo against Roark, 4 for 6 with a home run, but he's hitless in his last 7 at bats. Mets have scored just 1 run in the last 2 games, but the one was enough to win their last game Sunday in Pittsburgh. Zach Wheeler won it all by himself. A little league affair.
It was beautiful.
First time in 41 years a Met pitcher had driven in the only run in a 1-0 Mets win. Roark is pretty vigilant about holding runners. He's given up 4 steals in 8 tries this year.
Yeah, sneaky athletic, keeps him close, can field his position.
Roark now 31 years old. It's about the same ERA this year as he did last year when he went 13-11. Rosario runs, the throw by Wieters. Rosario's slide comes up short, and he's tagged out by a Turner. A terrible slide by Rosario.
Well, he tried,
and that's the first out.
He tried to give him the feint here. Give him the left arm and pull it away.
But he dove too soon.
He looked like he got stuck in the mud.
Trying to crawl his way in, swim his way to second base.
You know, they just stopped watering the infield right before the game starts, so it's plays a little muddier than usual. Not muddy, but you know what I'm saying.
Nimmo fouls off the curveball, and it's 1-2.
Soggy.
See, no, not even soggy. Soggy's a bad word. Come on, Gary, you're the wordsmith here. Not muddy, not soggy.
Slow.
Slow.
Oh.
1-2 coming from Roark, and it's taken high, 2-2.
It's like Hemingway, right? Crystal clear. Perfect sentence.
Brief and to the point, my friend. Concise.
That pitch to Wieters, by the way, from Roark ended up being almost like a pitch out. High fastball away, made it easier.
2-2 coming, and it's in there for a call, strike 3. Adrian Johnson rings up Brandon Nimmo, the 106th time that Nimmo has struck out. 2 out.
He's out by a country mile.
He looked in again. We've seen him on this, I think, straight steals looking in a couple of times now.
Also didn't get a very good first step. Here's Wilmer with 2 out, and he takes a fastball strike. Flores 0 for his last 9. Good to have the day off yesterday. Wilmer looked like he was wearing down the last couple of days in Pittsburgh, which, to be honest, has often been the case over the course of Wilmer's career when he's been asked to play every day for stretches of time. But right now he is the everyday option at first base. That could change fairly soon as he fouls one back. Jay Bruce is making his way back. He's going to start swinging the bat tomorrow, and when Jay comes back, he's expected to play some first. Jose Bautista, who was not traded at the deadline, can also play some first.
Everybody expects to play, but not all are going to be able to play. That's going to be an interesting dilemma for Mr. Callaway.
Wilmer drives one deep toward the left field corner. Soto going back. It's over his head and off the wall, bouncing away from him. And Flores will cruise into second base with a 2-out double. Day off pays dividends. 0-2 pitch, and Wilmer drives his 18th double of the year.
This is a laser beam. He crushed this ball. He's been pulling this pitch foul in those 4 games in Pittsburgh. He kept this one fair. This is just a bullet off the fence.
Faster runner might have had 3 bases, but Wilmer with 2 out settled for 2.
Do they still call it a fence, or just it's a wall? It's not a fence.
It's a barrier. It's the outer limit. As Conforto pulls 1 foul.
You know, we're talking about Nimmo's 106 strikeouts. I just was writing down the lineup card today and was just stunned that Conforto has 92 strikeouts. It's way too many strikeouts for Michael.
Conforto since the All-Star break hitting .367 with 3 home runs in 9 games. And Roark throws a fastball by him, and it's 0-2.
Wieters is feeling very frisky today. Throw down to second behind Flores.
Wilmer doesn't usually get that kind of attention on the base paths.
.235 against Roark. He has gotten a healthy dose of that inside fastball that comes back over the plate from Roark in his career.
Curveball at his feet, and it's 2-2.
You don't usually see catchers that tall, right? I remember Carlton Fisk was every bit of 6'4". Charles Johnson, Sandy Alomar Jr.
Yes. I'll go even further back. Tom Howler. For all the old timers watching tonight.
Conforto pops 1 up, and Turner takes charge of it, and that retires the side. So caught stealing, a double, and 1 left. Steven Matz goes to the mound, no score. There's the starting lineup for the Nationals. Anthony Rendon just back from paternity leave. And so they have pretty much their full complement in there. Adam Eaton sitting against the lefty. Turner hitting a .265. He had himself a lot of splaining to do before the game today.
Ooh. Land Rover numbers for Mr. Matz. The big number that I saw before the game. You must love the feel of this mound. No earned runs and 20 innings pitched off this Nationals Park mound.
Turner takes a strike, 1-2. Turner, the latest Major League Baseball player to have tweets discovered from his younger days. He hits one the other way past Flores' glove, and he has a base hit. And Turner, I think, uniquely among the players who have been in that situation, issued what would be, I think, best described as a full apology today.
Yeah.
He was emotional. He apologized to all the different communities that his words might have hurt. And I don't even know what to say beyond that, other than the fact that hateful speech is hateful speech, no matter what age it emanates from. And I think Turner recognized that, acknowledged it today, and tried to start the process of making amends.
Yeah, make amends.
I thought that here's Anthony Rendon. I thought that the Nats closer Sean Doolittle had some really good things to say yesterday, which I think set the stage for Turner's reaction today.
You know, playing in Oakland, Sean was such a leader out in that community, a very inclusive type of person, he and his wife both, and he was the perfect person to speak, and the words that he used on Twitter today were excellent.
I think it was also telling that when Turner came to bat just now, he didn't get a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Runner goes, the pitch is high, the throw by Plawecki not in time, and Turner has a stolen base, his 25th of the year. And I say that, of course, recognizing the sharp contrast with what happened in Milwaukee after Josh Hader had his situation.
Not a great jump, but he accelerated once he got going. That he stole that bag easy.
Well, Matz continues to be a target for the stolen base. That's 21 in 23 tries against Matz, and that came on the first pitch.
I'm going to break it down before his next start, because it seems to be the teams that face him the most take advantage of him the most.
A little bit. He's quick. He's got good acceleration. You got a left-hander out there. He waited. He didn't break from the belt. He was a little split second behind.
He'll steal third too.
He has.
There he goes.
There he goes. Pitch inside, throw to third, not even close.
I mean, come on.
So Turner steals second, steals third, and that's within the first 3 pitches. Plawecki never had a chance.
I mean, if we know it up here, they're supposed to have all the numbers down there to counter that. A move, a pick off the second, a step off, a swing back, a hold the ball. I mean, this is routine stuff.
That's out to bring the infield in, and Rendon pops it up behind the plate. That'll come back and out of play.
It's not only Steven Matz. Rendon just usually is another one of those players around the National League East that kill the Mets.
Normally you don't see an infield come in this early in the ball game. I would concede the run.
I would too. Roark has a what, 4.5 ERA?
Strike 3 called, and Rendon is caught looking on the fastball from Matz for the first out.
Adrian Johnson so far is calling the very, very top of that strike zone. The hitters better get used to it.
This I thought was high.
He's calling that pitch.
Okay, well then you got to swing at it.
Yeah.
I always said a pitch up on the strike zone's a mistake by the pitcher and a good pitch to hit.
They called Nimmo out on a similar pitch.
Yeah, you're right.
That was a little higher, but so you know that right now if you're paying attention in both dugouts, hopefully.
So now Bryce Harper, who remains a National after a brief shopping period, I think you'd have to say last night and early today. He takes a call strike. The Mike Rizzo, the Nationals general manager, kind of opened the shop briefly. Wanted to see whether Harper would attract enough value in return that it made sense to deal him before he becomes a free agent. Good stop by Plawecki, 1-1.
Kind of a pop-up store, is that what you're saying?
That's a good way of putting it. but apparently nobody was rushing through to give him a Machado-like return. And so very quickly Rizzo made it be known that he loves Bryce, that Bryce is staying, and they'd love to have him
Hopefully
back.
no hard feelings.
Yeah.
He drives one toward the gap in right center field, and that'll bring in the game's first run. Turner comes in to score. Harper pulls in at second base with an RBI double, and the Nats have an early 1-0 lead.
Got to keep the ball away from Harper. He's one of those guys that his whole body moves towards the first base dugout. He likes the ball middle in. This is right down Broadway.
'63rd run batted in for Harper. And that's the first earned run Steven Matz has ever given up in this ballpark. 20 innings without allowing an earned run, over 3 career starts here. And that comes to an end. Now Ryan Zimmerman has been back from the disabled list for about 10 days after missing 2.5 months with back problems. After getting off to a rough start at the beginning of the year.
Tried a unique experiment in spring training, and it did not work.
Nope.
Basically didn't play in spring training. Tried to hit the ground running, but the ground was moving.
Hits one to the right side, off the glove of Flores into right center. That'll bring home Harper. And it's 2-0 Washington, and if they score that a base hit, it's an historic one for Ryan Zimmerman.
They will.
Career base hit number 1,695. That makes him the all-time franchise leader going back to the beginnings of the Nationals franchise in Montreal.
Wilmer gets the in-between hop, tries to play. Well, he did get the big hop. He just didn't put the glove on it.
Zimmerman had been tied with Tim Wallach for the franchise record in base hits, and now he has that record to himself. And absolutely no acknowledgement of it on the scoreboard here in Washington.
Wow. That's lined the other way, a base hit for Juan Soto. And so the 19-year-old keeps the inning going with the 4th hit of the inning against Matz.
How can you not acknowledge the historic importance of Zimmerman's base hit? There you go. Look at that hole. We've been talking about it all 4 games, Ron, Gary, and I.
Yeah.
The opposite field wide open for you. Soto taking advantage.
Well, they went through a period where I didn't think they were going to recognize a lot of their past in Montreal, but I thought they had made a step back from that.
Yeah, they've had a tenuous relationship with their history as the Montreal Expos before the Nationals came into existence in 2005. So it's fascinating to me. It really is, that they would not make a big deal about that, because it is a big deal. Remember when David Wright became the Mets all-time hits leader? It's the same thing.
That's right.
Here's Murphy. Murph's been swinging the bat extremely well the last couple of weeks. It was a slow road for him coming back from off-season knee surgery, and he didn't hit much early, but over the last 16 games hitting .388, and of course, as you see there, he always hits against his old team.
You know, after the game against the Bucks, Matt said that he was overthrowing and not hitting his spots. I don't think he's overthrowing in his first inning, but certainly not hitting his spots.
He's already given up more hits in this first inning than he gave up in 6 innings against the Pirates. Problem with the start against Pittsburgh is he gave up a couple of long balls early in that game.
And your Lexus Mets starting infield. Bautista at third base. He started all out in right field the entire Pittsburgh series. He's back at third. And Austin Jackson, his second start in center.
Murphy hits one up the middle. That's a base hit. Zimmerman around third. He'll score the 3rd run of the inning. Murphy keeps it going with the 4th straight Washington hit, and it's 3-0 Nats.
I think we're going to get a mound visit. Nice hitting by Murph. Bunching base hits. And a first to third. So the pressure's still on.
Wilmer Flores just walked into the Mets dugout. And I think Wilmer's going down the tunnel. Something's going on here. Wilmer walked off the field, took his cap off, and I think he just went down the tunnel.
Here comes Mickey Callaway to make a change.
I don't know if he's ill or something. He's had 2 plays where the ball has beaten him. One that went by him on the ground to start the inning from Turner, and then the one that went off his glove from Zimmerman. And Wilmer just took himself out of the game. And Phillip Evans comes in to replace him.
Goodness.
So Evans, who has had big league time at third base and briefly last year at second base, I think this is the first time we've seen him at first base. They could move Bautista over to play first base and put Evans at third, but they choose to do it this way.
We'll try to get word on what's happening with Wilmer.
And this is indeed Evans' first ever big league appearance at first base. Meanwhile, Steven Matz still looking to get a second out as Michael Taylor fouls off his first pitch.
Evans didn't know whether to hold on Murph, play behind Murph. He's trying to get direction from the bench.
Looking at Evans's minor league career, he has never played first base in his professional career, which makes it really curious why you would put him in this spot rather than moving Bautista, who might have a little more familiarity over there. 2 balls and a strike to Taylor.
That's a thrown into the fire kind of deal.
Well, there's the other piece too, and you know, it's no knock on Phillip, but he's not a really big target at first base.
He's a little short guy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see too many 5'9" first basemen.
How tall was Bagwell? He was taller than that, right?
Oh, yeah.
6 feet.
Garvey, Steve Garvey.
Yeah, he was shorter than you think.
Greg Jeffries.
That's true.
2-2 to Taylor, and that just missed. Slider, 3-2. Murphy at first, not running. The 3-2 is in there. Strike 3 called. That high strike continues to be called by Adrian Johnson, and that's finally the second out. So let's watch Wilmer as he comes off after the last play. Standing there behind the mound, gets the ball. He looks like there's something wrong, and he just walked right off to the dugout.
Not physically. I mean, he's not limping or.
It looked like he was just lost.
I mean, you hate to speculate, but my best guess is that he's not feeling well. In any event, here's Matt Wieters with first and third and 2 out. In what has been a nightmarish first inning for Steven Matz.
Well, could have been worse. Michael Taylor, first and third, called third strike.
Have you noticed something in this first inning that we haven't seen Matz do after Dave Allen worked with him? See how quick he's working, as opposed to taking his time, kind of thinking about the execution of pitches, just rapid fire.
He's up high with everything.
Already 27 pitches deep into this opening inning. And they're going to give Wieters an intentional pass now and load the bases for Roark. And Roark is not an automatic out.
He is not, but once they got behind the Wieters, they decided to do it. I can understand that.
Of course, that pushes another runner into scoring position.
Yes.
And it also doesn't give Matz, I mean, he's got to go right after Roark.
Roark 6 for 36 on the year with a triple, but he's driven in 4 runs.
Lifetime 138 hitter. Bases loaded, 2 out, 3 runs already in, and Roark drives the first pitch to left center field. That's going to go up the gap. It's going to score at least 2. Wieters being waved around third. He heads home. The relay throw by Rosario to the plate, not in time. A bases clearing double for Tanner Roark. 6-0 Washington. And the roof has caved in on Steven Matz in the first inning.
Another pitch up in the strike zone, right down the pipe. And give Roark credit. Nice swing. Put Wieters in the back there. He's dragging an anchor behind him, but he does get home.
Now Trey Turner started it all with a base hit that slipped by Flores at first base. Murph loves to coach when he's running the bases, doesn't he?
You know, it's just ridiculous. Jeez.
Turner lines a base in, and it's just not stopping for Matz. Roark pulls in at third. The 7th hit of this opening inning. And there have been very few cheap ones amongst them. Turner's already 2 for 2.
Just saw Ricky Bonas in the Mets bullpen waving the flag, meaning you're not giving up. It's just alerting you that the pitcher's ready.
Jacob Rame got quickly to work after the Roark hit, so he hadn't been throwing long. Six runs on 7 hits for the Nationals. And now Rendon bats with first and third and 2 out. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Well, Turner's already stolen 2 bases in this inning. What's the record for most stolen bases by a player in an inning?
I don't know.
We may find out. That's hit hard through the hole, and that'll bring in another run. Rendon adds to the carnage as Roark comes home to make it 7-0.
They're just all over his fastball.
And that's going to be all for Steven Matz. Right from the first pitch has been able to get nothing to go his way.
Well, this has got to be the earliest exit for Steven and the biggest shellacking he's ever taken. Boy, this was a beating.
Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. 7-0 Washington, and the first inning isn't over yet. Talk about your bad night at the office. It didn't last very long for Steven Matz. Just 2/3 of an inning. 7 runs, 8 hits, and still responsible for 2 more aboard as Jacob Rame comes in to try and bail him out.
Just got an out on Friday night's game in Pittsburgh.
And comes in to face Bryce Harper, who has already registered an RBI double in this first inning. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? So much talk over the last few days, and we had a lot of those conversations over the weekend about the Nationals and what they do at the deadline. Harper skies one to deep right. Ballpark should hold it as Nimmo goes back and reels it in to retire the side. The Nats pretty much decide to stay pat, and they respond with a 7-run first inning, knocking out Steven Matz. After 1, 7-0 Washington.
Open mouth.
Jose Bautista leads off for the Mets in the second. Tanner Roark staked to a 7-run lead. He was responsible for driving in 3 and scoring 1.
Little league game
in that first inning. And he gets his curveball in for a strike to Bautista. Bautista was one of the players the Mets shopped near the deadline. No takers, still here. Off the plate, 1 and 2. Jeff McNeil on deck, then Austin Jackson for the Mets in the second. So I made the point right before we went to break about the Nationals, and they traded Brandon Kinsler to the Cubs.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much a minor move for them. Otherwise, they stayed pat. They have a ton of free agents at the end of this year, including Harper and Murphy and Gio Gonzalez and a number of members of their bullpen. But they basically decided to go with what they've got. 5.5 games out of first place. Grounded into the shift. Murphy's there on the left side of the bag to throw out Bautista. And I wonder, how that plays in that clubhouse, right? I mean, they've obviously underachieved this year. A team that was expected to be the overwhelming favorite to win the division. They're a game under 500, but they're not all that far off the pace, and ultimately they decide to go with what they got.
Well, they haven't done anything this year to reveal that they are a championship club, but what has happened is that they're in this kind of perfect storm. They are only 5.5 out, and they're behind the Phillies and Braves, who have not been there,
right,
and have a lot of young players and have not been through the grind of a September.
And both those teams have shown their vulnerabilities lately. The Braves went through a stretch where they lost 13 of 18. The Phillies have lost 4 straight and scored 7 runs in their last 4 games. Jeff McNeil falls behind on the count 0-2. Now the Phillies, they made a bold move today. They traded for Wilson Ramos,
right,
who's hurt right now, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks can help them. The Braves made a number of moves to try and enhance their chances of staying in the race down to the end.
Well, they added to their already excellent bullpen with O'Day, and Gaussman is really the one that's going to be interesting to watch, because out of the American League East,
strike 3 called as McNeil's caught looking. Second strikeout for Roark.
and into the National League East, Gaussman's always been a guy that you think is a number 1 or number 2.
I think also Adam Duvall is a very underrated pickup for Atlanta. He's a guy who had 30 or more home runs the last 2 years. He's not having a good year, but he's a guy who could really help them out.
It's a good call, Gare.
Some of the other moves near the deadline, the Dodgers picked up a big piece in Brian Dozier.
I mean, Dozier is a power hitting second baseman. Second baseman Utley and Forsythe this year for the Dodgers, 211.
Now, while we were in Pittsburgh, we talked about how the Pirates were in a similar circumstance as the Nationals, and they really went for it. They enhanced what's already a strong back end of the bullpen, picking up Keone Kela, who's a closer.
That's right.
To go with Vasquez and Crick. And they picked up Chris Archer, who's under control for 3 years. So that's not necessarily a 2018 move. That's a move beyond. They gave up a pretty good prospect in Austin Meadows in that deal, too.
And Archer, just like Gaussman, a guy that, considering their talent, they've underperformed, right, to where you think they should be, and maybe in the National League it'll be better.
Check swing tapper by Austin Jackson. Roark makes the play, so after getting a 7-run lead, Roark turns in a 1-2-3 inning. Still 7-0 Nats. A lower price for $82.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this special offer. Ryan Zimmerman fouls off the first pitch he sees from Jacob Rame to start the bottom of the second. Steven Matz, 2/3 of an inning, 7 runs, 8 hits, so an intentional walk, 2 strikeouts. First Met pitcher to give up 7 earned runs without completing the first inning since Jeremy Hefner in 2012. Last one before that.
Don't say it.
Don't say it, Gary. Don't say it. They can look it up.
Tom Glavine, final day, 2007.
We remember that.
Yeah, so does Tom. And every Met fan who was alive 11 years ago.
So you're devastating the Mets fans when you say something like that.
It's just history.
Do you remember that game?
That happened.
There was so much buzz in that stadium at the beginning of that game.
Zimmerman down on strikes for the first down in the home second.
And that just let the air out of the balloon.
Well, do you remember, though, in the bottom of the first in that game that Ramon Castro with the bases loaded hit one that looked like it might be a grand slam?
And he thought it was, too. It got knocked down.
And you thought, okay, they're right back in the game. But Didn't go far enough. Here's Juan Soto, who swung at the first pitch he saw and a base hit to left field. Scored a run in the first, and he goes after the first pitch, finds the same hole and hits it into left field again. So Soto is 2 for 2.
Opposite field. This is all the hits in the first inning. And they put them all over the field. They sprayed opposite field.
Everything was right in the middle of the plate.
And yes, and up, which I mentioned.
Murphy cranks one to deep right field. Nimmo goes back, looks up, and it's out of here. Daniel Murphy with just his 3rd home run of the season, a 2-run shot to make it 9-0 Washington.
So Murphy has been getting his hits, but has not been hitting for much power. Cranks one out.
Well, you didn't think there'd be a game where Murph didn't do damage to the Mets. This is right down the middle, too. Oh, boy. Line drive. That's the kind of hitter Murph is.
Nice catch.
Taylor hits one out to center field. Jackson back to the warning track at the wall. It's off the fence. Stays in play. Taylor on his way to third. He's going to be held up there. Just missed a home run. Taylor settles for his 3rd triple of the year. And the Nats are just swinging the bats like it's batting practice.
Well, Jackson, almost went out. And the fact that he didn't play it off the wall, this could have been an inside the park home run. And
Conforto came over to back up, which is the only reason it wasn't an inside the park home run.
This ballpark has very difficult angles, and Austin Jackson just found out.
The Nationals looking for some sort of spark. And this is what the doctor ordered.
Well, they're trying to, one would say, justify the decision not to sell off their parts, to allow them to stay pat and try and make a run over these last 2 months, and they're off to a pretty good start these first 2 innings.
Well, they were ridiculed in the paper in the off day yesterday about their play in the final game of that series, a 4-game series in Miami. They said they were lifeless. They only had 1 hit through the first 8 innings, wound up with 2, and just kind of dialed it in.
Infield in, 0-2 to Wieters. And he grounds one through the hole. That's a base hit. That'll bring in a run. Infield in, and Wieters hit it right between them. Taylor comes in with the 3rd run of the inning, and it's 10-0.
Keith, do you think it matters when your general manager comes out with a statement, I believe in this team? Does that have any bearing on a team coming out with some fire in their belly?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think, yeah, your general manager has faith in you. Yes, absolutely. Now, is this the reason why tonight? I have no idea. There's been a lot of pitches down the middle. So it's a perfect storm for the Nationals. And every ball they're hitting is hitting the holes. They're hitting them hard.
Roark hit one hard his first time up. Mets intentionally walked Wieters to get to Roark, hoping to get Mats through the inning at 3-0, but Roark spoiled that by drilling one to the gap in left center for a double that drove in 3. It's this one on the ground, and Rosario to McNeil, and they cannot turn the double play. Rosario threw it wide, and McNeil, who has not look good turning double plays in his brief big league time. Couldn't turn that one.
That wasn't his fault, though. That's a bad throw.
It's a tough throw for him. Had to go way back. That's all he can do. Hey, Roark hustled down the line.
So the inning continues, and Trey Turner is already 2 for 2. Gets a third at bat in the second inning, and he grounds one down to third. Bautista makes that throw on target, and the inning comes to an end. Just 3 for the Nats in the second after a 7-run first. 10-0 after 2. First 2 innings, they lead 10-0. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Yeah, Gary, they lead 10-0, so we thought it would be a great time to talk to one of their beat writers about what's wrong with the Nationals. Not exactly the best timing, but this is Chelsea James from the Washington Post, and despite this hot start tonight, 1 game under 500, certainly the talent is much better than the product on the field has been. There's been a lot of talk, Chelsea, about the clubhouse culture from the outside. You've been on the inside. What is it actually like on a day-in, day-out basis?
There's nothing noticeably horrible. You know, I think a lot of people today push back against reports of dysfunction and a mess because there's no one really fighting. You know, Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg got into it, but that was actually short-lived and not a big deal. So I think there's just frustration, and I think the fact that you have a rookie manager following a guy who won 95 games in back-to-back years sort of set everybody up for failure. So they have to answer questions about that, but really there's no infighting or anything. It's just a frustrated clubhouse right now.
You mentioned the managerial switch, and there's been some question about Davey as well. What has he been like? How have the players reacted to him this season?
I think it depends who you talk to. You know, I think the relievers and the pitching staff have had a lot of questions and voiced them to him, you know, face to face about sort of how it's gone and how he's handled them. And he's been really receptive to that. And I think everyone else would tell you he's a really positive guy who, you know, genuinely cares. I mean, he teared up talking about Trey Turner today. You know, he's just that kind of guy, emotional. So I think he's a really positive presence, and Mike Rizzo came out today and said he thinks he's doing a great job. So, you know, presumably there's no danger there about his job at the moment. But I think they've been pretty aware that there's learning to be done, and we've seen it affect how they've played.
Chelsea, you said that for the most part, dysfunction's probably not a good word, that they're very frustrated as a group. But are there a lot of difficult personalities in there?
There are definitely a lot of veterans who think that they know exactly how this should go, and with a rookie manager, like, that's just a kind of a perfect storm. But you know, I think for the most part, you know, Bryce Harper's always going to be a character that people have to deal with. You know, there's always going to be drama that follows him, and I think they're really missing Jason Worth, who was sort of the guy who set the even keel tone. So it's different in there, and I think they're figuring it out. But you know, Max Scherzer, people like that, they're going to, Daniel Murphy, people like that have sort of influenced, I think, the younger guys, and they're trying. But it's been a balancing act, I think, this year, and in a little bit of a leadership void.
You mentioned Bryce Harper. There were a lot of reports about potentially today being a big day. The Nats hold on to him, but how close did it actually come to him moving?
I don't think it got that close. I know they exchanged names and had deals, you know, that they were considering, but I think they had to be absolutely blown away. And from what I've heard, they asked for packages that would have blown any of us away if we heard that that deal was consummated. So I think they were going into it saying we can't not see what we can get, and I think they went in with high expectations and they weren't met. But the fact that they were talking about it as late as last night is just a crazy statement about how far this team has fallen, because that would have been a joke in March, you know.
That being said, and we were talking a little bit about this before we went on air, they come out with a big start tonight. Do you think just getting past this deadline and the team pretty much standing pat could be something that actually sets them on fire, gives them a little springboard?
I do, and I think their schedule is favorable. I mean, they get Mets a lot. You know, they get a lot of struggling teams a lot down the stretch, and you know, teams they're familiar with that they can, you know, don't have to game plan for. So I think there's just like a weight lifted off. It's like, okay, here's what we've got. We can't worry about what might be or might not be. And you know, I don't know if it has anything to do with that first inning, but it's definitely felt even in there like, okay, we got through today, you know, and now we can sort of just see what happens.
Chelsea, great stuff as always. We appreciate the insight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, back to you.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks to Chelsea for giving us a little primer on what's going on with the Nats from somebody who watches them every day.
That's right.
I mean, they're 5.5 games out. That could disappear in 2 weeks.
Exactly. That can disappear overnight. Well, not literally. But I found that what interesting about the interview to me was, you know, some of the veterans you got to.
Rosario hits one to shallow center, and Taylor in to get it for the second out.
You've got a rookie manager and some of the veterans voicing some opinion about how things are being handled by the manager. I do not like that. A player comes to the ballpark, don't worry about the manager. Go out and you play in that lineup, play every day, and just do your job. You know, you've got issues when you got a young manager. You got to give him a little more leeway, even if it's a veteran manager. Just go out and do your job. Stop being a Monday morning quarterback or a bench coach.
Well, I thought there were some clues in what Chelsea said as Nimmo pops it up. Most difficult thing for any rookie manager is learning how to handle his bullpen, and that's a very veteran Washington bullpen. And I'm sure all of them have been vocal enough about the problems that they've had. Middle of the third in Washington, 10-0 Nats. To the kind of setting the Nats up for failure by bringing a rookie manager to replace Dusty Baker, who led the Nats to the National League East title each of the last 2 years. And, you know, Dusty's won everywhere he's gone. What he hasn't done is won in the postseason.
He came close.
Well, he had Scherzer on the mound with the lead in the 5th. Wasn't to be.
Yeah, that using a starter for long relief in the bullpen has worked for other folks last year, but not for Dusty.
It worked for the Astros.
Well, you see what the Nats have done now. 2012, that was under Davey Johnson. 2014, that was under Matt Williams. 16 and 17, that was under Dusty. That's lined to left center, a base hit for Rendon. And the merry-go-round starts again for the Nats in the 3rd. Wow. Second hit of the night for Rendon.
Inside fastball got in on him, but he stays level on that upswing upstairs. A lot of pitches upstairs tonight.
You know, we talked at the end of the last half inning about being a rookie manager, as David Martinez is, as Mickey Callaway is, and the hardest thing being learning how to manipulate your bullpen to get the best results, to keep everybody fresh. It's probably harder now than it's ever been before because of the way bullpens are used. So how do you learn how to do that? How do you get on the same page with, in the case of the Nats, your veteran relievers who expect to be used a certain way and maximize their effectiveness?
Bingo, you hit it right there. They're unique in that way, is that they went and got Doolittle, Kinsler, and Madsen to be in their bullpen. And when you have 3 veterans like that, see what happens in today's game is that except for the 2 or 3 prime guys you have, you can use roster manipulation with a lot of your young pitchers. So one guy goes 2 innings, you send him down to AAA, bring in a new guy. But when you have veterans that are the biggest core of your bullpen, and I'll tell you, it started on April 16th, 17th, and 18th in New York. Ryan Madsen, who's what, 38 years old, was brought in to save game 1. He was brought in to hold game 2. He was brought in to save game 3. And he blew the save on the 3rd game, 3rd day in a row for a 38-year-old reliever. That just can't happen. It can't happen. This is the problem, the catch-22 for the rookie manager, is that he's trying to prove his worth right away. When he has a lead, he wants to make sure the team wins that game so that he gets a little bit of some room to grow. And sometimes when it goes backfires on you, then it really looks bad.
Three and 2 to Harper. Bryce lays off, ball 4.
Well, Ron speaking to that. Yeah. Davey Johnson relied on Mel Stoudemire a lot.
That's right.
And how Mel would tell him what pitcher he couldn't use, what pitcher he could use long, which pitcher he could use short.
And it's not only about using them in the game, Keith. I think what happens is a lot of managers get criticized because they get up and they don't get in.
Right.
And for relievers, getting up and not getting in to them is almost like an appearance.
So what's the most, I think you made a great point about roster manipulation, because it's something that the Mets have done this year that most teams have been able to do, but because the Nationals have so many veterans in their bullpen, they have been less able to do. So that having been said, as the Mets get Peterson up in the bullpen, what's the most important thing for a young manager to learn in terms of making this all work?
I think 2 things, Gary. I think, one, you want to be able to talk to your relievers before the game, but you don't necessarily have to believe 100% of what they say, because today's athlete, whether you're a pitcher, everyday player, bench guy, you're always going to want to tell your manager, I'm good to go, Skip. I'm there for you if you need me. You have to be able to be the adult in the room and make the decision on whether you're going to get a guy up as Zimmerman goes down on the strikeout. And I think the other thing for me that, let's just say, if I were a manager, I would try to do is that I would make sure that I had a long man from both sides, a righty lefty. I would have some relievers I'm gonna use A and B. They're not A and B. They're interchangeable, but I'm gonna say A and B. A is on Tuesday, and B, I don't want to use them until Wednesday. I might have to extra inning game, something like that, but I would like to give my relievers a situation where mentally they're off in certain games.
And I think the Mets have sort of done that this year by having multiple relievers who can go multiple innings, right? A Gazelman will go 2 innings one day, a Lugo will go 2 innings the next day. Gazelman knows he's off that second day.
Yeah, that's necessity though, because I think you have a manager who's gone through a real tough time with his team, and it's like, who do I believe in to get in 6 outs for me? It's not 2 pitchers, it's really 1 pitcher. Gazelman tonight, Lugo tomorrow.
Right, and Mickey's had his own issues trying to figure out how to make this all work. Do you think though that he has had, as a first-year manager, any advantage at all being an ex-pitching coach as opposed to Davey Martinez, who was an ex-bench coach?
I think he would have had a huge advantage if he would have taken more of a mantle over the pitching. I think he really trusts Dave Island, and I think he's really put that in Island's court, as Keith was talking about before. It's like, you know, managing is difficult enough, and I think Mickey has realized that 100% of what he's got to do has got to be the managing part. Island's got to take care of the other part.
Soto thought he had ball 4, but another high pitch called a strike by Adrian Johnson. That's been a pattern tonight.
I don't know how long it takes teams to realize he's going to call that pitch. He's been calling it since the first pitch of the game.
And he's not going to get a borderline call now after tossing his bat away.
19 years old, rookie.
He's already 2 for 2 tonight, and he fouls off the fastball. Juan Soto having himself an amazing rookie season at age 19.
Defensively, they've moved Batista at third way further into the hole and leaving Rosario up the middle. So they took him 2 at bats and 2 base hits to make an adjustment.
Juan Soto coming into tonight, 60 games in the major leagues, 65 hits, 13 home runs, 36 RBIs, 39 walks. Since 1920, the only player to equal or better all those totals in their first 60 games, Alvin Davis.
Oh, wow.
1984 with Seattle.
He was Rookie of the Year in '84 in the American League, right?
Soto's got 210 at bats, 46 strikeouts. That's around close to 100 in the 90s.
Grounded down to first, handled by Evans. Slow to cover is Rame, and so Evans has to take it himself and gets the second out as the runners move to second and third. Not bad by Evans, playing his first ever professional game at first base.
Well, he's a third baseman, so he's familiar with getting ground balls. Nice play right there. Could have got the force out, but hey, he's never played first base. He wasn't sure whether to look to feed to Rame or get it himself.
I think he wanted to feed it to Rame. It was just Rame wasn't there.
I don't think Rame was going to get there. So now second and third with 2 out. Here's Murph, who's already driven in 3 runs with a single and a home run. And he launches this one to deep right field. Nimmo goes back near the wall, and it's out of here. Daniel Murphy has struck again. He came into the night with 2 home runs. He's got 2 home runs in his last 2 at bats. Murph has driven in 5 to make it 6, and the Nats lead 13-0. Wow.
Murph's trying to have Rendon's game from last year.
It's only 4 RBIs shy, and it's only the 3rd inning.
First ball fastball hitting, and Rame is just throwing down the middle. And he hasn't got much on his fastball tonight. That's right down the middle.
Rame coming in long relief. This is already his longest big league outing this year. He hadn't gone more than an inning and 2/3. He's already gone 2 1/3, and he's been charged with 6 runs. Mickey Callaway, one of the handful of major league managers who has not used a position player to pitch this year. That might change today. 21 teams have used position players to pitch this year, more than ever before.
Some numerous times, right?
42 different pitchers, position players, I believe. Mets are not among them, but at 13-0 in the third inning, that might be on the docket tonight.
Kike Hernandez had the worst game of all because he was a 16-inning game against the Phillies. He went 0 for 7 in the game. He gave up a walk-off 3-run home run to Trevor Plouffe.
First position player ever to give up a walk-off home run. That probably shouldn't be a concern tonight.
Let me ask you this question then, okay? Everyone in baseball thinks the Dodgers are just going to win the NL West, right? Just hand it to them. They've got the skinniest of leads, right? What happens if they don't win that division by 1 game and didn't have a pitcher, a starting pitcher ready to pitch that 16th?
Taylor hits one through the vacant side of the infield. His second hit.
It's just saying, hey, hit it here. I know batting averages don't count as much anymore, but boy.
Well, that's going to be the end of Jacob Rahm's tenure in this game. Tim Peterson will come in. Where's this game going to end up? It's 13-0 in the third. Tim Peterson, the third Met pitcher of the night, comes into the game in the third inning. Gives you an idea how the night's going.
I mean, the Nats have 13 runs, 15 hits. I don't know if I've ever seen numbers like that in the third inning.
Well, let's put it this way. It's the third inning, and the number 8 hitter is batting for the third time. And Wieters hits one out to left, and Conforto goes back to get it, and the side is retired. Daniel Murphy having himself a night in the first 3 innings. 3 for 3, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. It's not a bad week. 13-0. Washington going to the 4th. first, 3 in the second, and 3 in the third for the Nationals. 13 runs and 15 hits. Phillip Evans will bat for the first time as we go to the fourth. He came in for Wilmer Flores. We are told that Wilmer left with dehydration and dizziness. I think we all might be afflicted with that at some point this evening. Evans making his first ever big league appearance or minor league appearance at first base. And Tanner Roark, the beneficiary of a 13-run haul, gets his first pitch in for a strike. So Mats gave up 7 runs without getting through the first inning. We told you Jeremy Hefner was the last to have that happen to him. Do you know the pitcher who gave up the most runs without getting through the first inning in Mets history?
I might be me, because I gave up 10 runs in Cincinnati. 6 earned, maybe 7 earned in Riverfront. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't quite as bad as you remembered. It was 9 runs, 5 earned. It was 1988 in Cincinnati.
What time of year was that?
Reds scored 10 in the first inning, but only 9 were charged to you.
Had to be.
Oh, okay. You know what happened in that? I was so, I mean, you get blown out. That year I had a good year too. It's hard to believe. I got on the exercise bike before the first inning. I did not get off the exercise bike until the game was over, as penance for the bad pitching.
Good things games didn't last quite as long those days.
Thank God.
I mean, what was it, 2 hours and 25 minutes? It could have been worse.
You're embarrassing yourself, your family, the organization. It's hard to live with that night.
Evans tops one toward third. Rendon has the ball come up for him nicely. High throw, but Zimmerman stays on the bag, and they get Evans one away.
Routine.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Michael Conforto, who popped to short his first time up.
Telling Keith in between breaks, as you mentioned, that 9-run first, 10 runs the Reds scored in that first. I had the strangest year that year. Won the most games I ever did in the major leagues. And I had a half a dozen games, Gary, that are just so god awful, like that one, that it's hard to even think it could happen, because everything else went smoothly. I'd go shutout, well-pitched game, well-pitched game, well-pitched game, blowout. I mean, it was a very strange year. I don't know what was going on.
You won 17 that year, right?
Well, yes, I did. But there were some doozies in there.
Well, there's the Meadowlands, folks. Friday, 7:15 for any of you that are interested.
Not even with the horn tonight because of the score of the game.
I think we're occupied Friday at 7:15, aren't we?
Yes. Got the Bravos in town.
Yeah.
But you know what you can do? You can go to the Meadowlands for the races, but they have our game up on the monitor, and you can ask them to turn it up. Conforto foul tips it, held by Wieters for strike 3. Strikeout number 4 for Roark. Marvel presents the Noah Syndergaard as Thor bobblehead this Saturday night, August 4th, to the first 25,000 fans in attendance, courtesy of Citi. Last year's Thor bobblehead was named the #1 promotion in baseball by MLB and the #1 bobblehead in Mets history by SNY.TV. Don't miss out on this season's most exclusive item. Go to Mets.com/tickets to purchase your seats today. The good news is that Noah Syndergaard, as himself, not as Thor, will pitch tomorrow for the Mets in the second game of this series. The amazing news today is that Noah is now not the only pitcher in New York to have contracted hand, foot, and mouth disease.
I mean, when you told me today, I was shocked.
Jay Happ, who just arrived, pitched very well in his first game as a Yankee, now has the same illness that knocked Syndergaard out for a start.
Well, he'll take 10 days off. They'll stick Lance Lynn in there. Embarrassment of riches.
There are the probables for tomorrow. The former Met Tommy Malone, who took Steven Strasburg's spot on Strasburg's latest tour of the disabled list, will make his second start for the Nats.
Pinched nerve, I think, this time for Strasburg.
I'm a bit surprised, Ronnie. I looked over the schedule and the rotation of the Nats, and with the off day yesterday, they could throw Scherzer on a 5th day and skip Malone, but they're not doing that.
Going to pitch Scherzer against the Reds on Thursday. Speaking of the Reds, by the way,
yes,
completely unexpectedly, they did not trade Matt Harvey at the deadline today. Everybody expected them to, but the Reds hung on to Matt, and the Reds are coming to Citi Field next week, and Matt might be scheduled to pitch. Grounded behind the bag, Rendon's got it, makes the long throw, and that retires the side. That would be fascinating, wouldn't it? Middle of the 4th, 13-0 Nats. Tanner Roark leads off for the Nats in the home 4th. Roark contributed a 3-run double in the Nats' 7-run first inning. Now facing Tim Peterson, the 3rd Met pitcher of the night. So Mats went 2/3 of an inning, allowed 7 runs, 8 hits. Jacob Rame went 2 innings, allowed 6 runs and 7 hits, including the 2 Murphy home runs. And we'll see how Mickey Callaway pieces the rest of this together. He's got to get 15 more outs. Roark hits one toward the middle. McNeil on the backhand and throws him out, 1 away. 14 more outs.
Lugo and Gazelman are safe.
Well, the Mets have a 9-man bullpen, and they had an off day yesterday, so they should have enough arms to get them through the game. The question is, what do you have to save for tomorrow? You got Syndergaard coming back after an illness. Will he be able to throw a full complement of pitches? Do you need to, you know, prepare for that contingency as well? There's Trey Turner, who's already 2 for 3 in this game. And there's another thing too, you know, the last time Noah pitched here, it didn't go very well.
No, that was the 23-run game.
Right, that's the one. Rendon hit the 3 home runs and drove in 10. It's also the last time I think the Mets had a position player pitch, because he hit the last one off Plawecki.
Plawecki, that's right. What did Noah, the oblique, right? Or
right. No, the lat, the torn lat that cost him the whole season. And Turner yanks one foul. With the trade deadline passed and the Mets holding on to their key rotation pieces, get a breakdown of what the next step should be for the team to be a contender in 2019 on Mets Blog, presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV.
Maybe that should be our tweet of the day. What are the fans? Who would they like to see pitching? What position player would they like to see out there?
Okay, we might be able to arrange that. I'm just fascinated by that promo I just read. That was obviously printed much earlier today. How did they know that nobody was going to get traded? Were they so sure?
I guess they were.
Did we have 2 alternate pieces of copy based on whether the Mets made a big deal or not?
Let me ask our stage manager, Tracy. We had another one? No?
Wow. They really went out on a limb.
Well, they have inside information.
Maybe.
A lot of people have had inside information in the last couple of days. I don't know if you noticed that, Gary.
Were they all right? 1-2 coming, and Turner socks one foul down the left side. That'll go out of play. I mean, I've read all about. Okay, well, here we go. Here's your tweet of the game. Which position player would you like to see pitch?
Yeah, thanks,
Hashtag
guys.
SNY tweet. You ask, you receive.
Truck is unbelievable.
Our guys, they're the best. Seventh pitch from Peterson to Turner, and he goes down on strikes. First strikeout for Peterson, who has settled things down a tad. He's retired his first 3 hitters.
Keith, you ever pitch in a game?
No.
Did you ever want to?
It would have been fun.
Yeah.
But think about how less prevalent it used to be to have position players pitch. We mentioned 21 different teams. I think 42 different position players have pitched this year. The Mets went the first 30 years of the franchise without a single position player pitching. Think about that. 1992 was the first time the Mets ever had a position player pitch.
Wow.
It was in Pittsburgh at 3 Rivers. Jeff Torborg was the manager, and he put Bill Pacoda in to pitch after 30 years of not ever using a position player to pitch.
What was the score? Do you remember?
Don't remember.
Okay.
Oh,
And then there have been a few since then.
well, the early Mets had to have some serious blowouts.
But those days,
Starter just stayed in there.
They just stayed in there. Or you brought a guy in, he pitched 8 innings of relief if he had to.
Right.
You never ran out of pitchers. You just pitched the same guys every day if you had to. And you only had 10-man staffs. Rendon takes up and away, and it's 3-0.
It is funny that you have more people in the bullpen than ever, but more position players have pitched. Didn't you say that Desi Relaford was the most impressive?
He was the best I've ever seen it as a Met. He had 92-mile-an-hour fastball, had an idea where he was throwing it. The worst was Derek Bell. Derek Bell threw 63 miles an hour.
Was he worse than Carlos Gomez the other night?
I didn't get to see that.
Oh,
one.
you didn't?
No.
Carlos was able to throw 88, but he also, his secondary pitch was a 48 ephus ball, and he also balked twice.
Oh, the box, yeah. Well, I know some, pitchers who pitch for a living who balk.
I did. I balked twice in my first game.
I forget that.
We keep going. I'm gonna.
Were you nervous?
Not feeling very good. No, I had a quick move to first,
Right.
And they called that a balk.
Who was the umpire? Who was the umpire?
I can't remember.
We once saw our friend Sid Fernandez balk trying to run an appeal play.
Oh, Sid. Yeah, that wouldn't be part of Sid's game. The appeal play.
Rendon's already got 2 hits today, and now he's got a walk to go with that. First base runner against Peterson. So now Bryce Harper comes up for the 4th time. Drove in the first run of this game with a double to right center in the first. Since then he's flied out and walked. Driven in 1, scored 2. Matt Franco pitched a couple of times. Remember, who was the catcher? Brian Johnson.
Oh, yeah, that's right. In Toronto.
Was it Rob Johnson?
Rob Johnson.
Driven down the right field line. Harper's got another extra base hit. Rendon racing for third. He's going to be waved home. Relay throw by McNeil too late. Harper's got his second RBI double of the night. It's 14-0 as the Nats tack on the extra point.
Gotta keep the ball away from him.
The threat of trade rumors, and Harper responds tonight. Rendon going hard, getting his right fielder another RBI.
64 of those now for Harper. Now Zimmerman, who had an RBI single in the first, 1 for 3.
So the Nats fans here, after every run they score, spell out N-A-T-S, Nats, 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 and a big yell.
Woo.
They've done it a lot tonight.
A lot of woo.
A lot of woo-woo.
It's not quite Jets, Jets,
No,
Jets,
no.
but you know.
I was looking for a fire helmet.
But
I
it
didn't
is
see
it is a football kind of a score.
That's right.
That's cracked to deep right center field. Near the wall, it's out of here. Ryan Zimmerman adds a 2-run homer, his 6th of the year. 16-0.
No one is safe.
Is this a team that got shut out the last 2 games in Miami? I think it is.
This is why I chuckle every time someone talks about run differential.
Exactly.
Like it makes any difference. You score 16 runs one day, does that mean you're supposed to win, what, 3 more games after that?
That's right.
The whole thing's silly. Every game, every day in baseball is different. And you can chalk this up to, you know, the circumstances of the day and the trading deadline and all that, or you can just say that the Nats are having themselves a big day.
Peterson just threw one up and in, or not up and in, right at Soto. First time that any Met pitcher has responded with anything close to how do you do.
Yeah, now 3-0 to Soto. Gives a little glance out at Peterson after that last inside pitch.
What do you think of that pitch? I think that pitch had some intention on it. Good.
I do.
I mean, it's elevated BP here tonight. Why not?
Well, if you're going to send a message, do you send it to the 19-year-old kid, or do you send it to one of the veteran players?
The horses are at the barn, Gary.
It's already too late.
Yeah,
So I mean, enough's enough.
Well, you have another game tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you just happen to be the unfortunate one. That's up.
I mean, you play this team a lot. It's not like this is a, you know, an isolated meeting. It's a lot more games to go with the Nats this year. But 8 more after today. Soto pops it up. Nimmo comes in to call off McNeil. And that retires the side, but not before the Nats tack on 3 more. 2 on a Zimmerman home run. It's 16-0 Washington. Franchise record for the Expos and Nats for most RBIs in a season.
I think I know that.
Could it be just one in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that's a good call.
Jeff McNeil leads off in the 5th. By the way, this is not yet an official game, and there's a huge rain cloud off to our left.
Oh, we're about. There's a bunch of stuff coming.
So the groundskeeper actually just came out and talked to the crew chief Brian O'Nora between innings to show him the radar. Now it's not an official game. You know what that means, right?
We're rooting for Tanner Roark.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that if a huge rainstorm came in and didn't go away, a 16-0 lead might disappear. Fly ball out to left and Soto's there, but the Mets better start hitting if they want to make that happen, because only 2 outs are required to make this an official game.
We just might escape. We're right in between 2 pretty heavy rain clouds or bodies of rain, and we're kind of right in the middle of it. I mean, we're surrounded on each side. It's coming from the south. We'll see.
Sometimes I think we're working with Mr. G.
Well, I got the app up.
That is pretty. It's a pretty good app.
See that? We're right in the middle of it, like a little corridor.
Austin Jackson takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Jackson making his 2nd straight start. Had a good game in Pittsburgh on Sunday. Got on base 3 times with 2 hits and a walk. Austin's played for his 8th team in the last 5 years. It's a lot of stickers on your luggage.
Well, this time of year, though, Mets needed him just to be in center field, needed some defense. But for winning ball clubs, and he had a good year last year in Cleveland, it can really help your team, especially if you have good pitching. He's never hit how you thought he would hit. He's always been struck out too much.
And he lines one over short, and Jackson's got a base hit. Just the Mets' 3rd hit of the night, a 1-out single.
Got in on him a little bit, quick inside.
Now Kevin Plawecki, who had a base hit to center field his first time up. Plawecki getting a 2nd straight start. He hasn't had too many of those lately, but he's been swinging the bat well. Came into the night with an on-base percentage of .358. And Roark falls behind him 2-0. Let's see, Tim Peterson's out on deck. That's already had 1 plate appearance from a relief pitcher tonight. They may get a few more before the night's over. Relief pitchers batting, and eventually position players pitching. There's a call strike, 2-1. Two coming to Plawecki, and Kevin goes down on strikes for the 2nd out. 5 strikeouts now for Roark.
Just a little sinking fastball running in and just under the bat of Plawecki.
So now Tim Peterson will take the turn at bat. 2nd major league at bat, looking for his 1st hit. 0-2 from Roark. And Peterson takes the curveball for strike 3. Inning over. We now have an official game. Halfway through, 16-0 Nats. The Walter Reed Medical Facility, and had a chance to get to know some of the staff and some of the patients at the Walter Reed Hospital. Let's do this every year. It's turned into a great tradition, and all the players and staff were on hand. Look away if you must. But the Nats have scored at least 3 runs in each of the first 4 innings. Daniel Murphy's had a big piece of that. He'll get a new pitcher to face, Tyler Bachelor. Murph's already driven in 6 today with a single and 2 home runs. And he takes a fastball strike.
Bachelor in to try to stop the madness.
Bachelor's last outing, he threw 2 scoreless innings against the Pirates. It was on Friday. And he comes inside, and Murphy has to vacate.
As if you can't do that.
Well, you can. And he did. He came in again. One-two coming. And Murph takes one the other way along the left field line, and that'll fall just foul. Getting pretty close to his 4th hit of the night. Tyler Bachelor, the 4th Met pitcher of the night. Tim Peterson went inning in the 3rd, allowed 3 runs, 2 hits.
Ashler's quite a spitfire, isn't he? Not a big man, but he can throw hard.
And Murphy drives this one out to right, playable for Nimmo. And so Murph is retired for the first time tonight. 1 out in the home 5th. Tomorrow at 6 with the trade deadline passed. Our panel of insiders reacts to all the Mets and Yankees moves on Baseball Night in New York, presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers, tomorrow at 6, only on SNY. Our panel reacts. The members of the panel react.
That's right.
To everything that's gone on.
What if nothing's going on?
Then they will not react.
Okay.
Oh, a lot went on.
Michael Taylor goes after a high fastball, and it's 1-1. Well, much went on, just not involving the Mets.
That's right.
The Mets moves came a little earlier, trading Familia, trading Cabrera. Have you been reading some of the reaction in Philadelphia to the decision to put Cabrera at shortstop? I mean, Matt Klentak, the general manager of the Phillies, basically said, you know what, our defense is not very good. Cabrera is not going to make it any worse.
Really?
So we might as well go for offense. Think they're talking to Jose about pitching?
Yeah, does he want to? Got the best arm. Get in the tunnel, start getting warmed up.
Okay. Why not? Two coming. Foul back by Taylor, who's already got a single and a triple tonight.
I always thought Cabrera would have fit in better with the Milwaukee Brewers, who've had trouble at second base. He could have fit in there nicely. They could have kept Travis Shaw at third, but once they got Moustakas, then Travis Shaw, who hasn't played second base, although they try to sell you that he plays a lot there in the shift. Well, that's in right field. That's not second base turning a double play. But now they've gone out and got another infield.
Got Jonathan Scope from the Orioles, so
and he's playing second base.
Where are all those guys going to play?
I don't know that.
And you can't play Moustakas and Shaw together at third. That would be against the rules. And Taylor lays off. It's 3-2. It seems that, you know, the Mets have kind of been guilty of this over the years, trying to shoehorn players into positions where they don't fit to try and get a particular bat into a lineup. Seems like more teams are doing that now. There's ball 4, and Taylor's on base for the 3rd time. So we asked for your tweets about who you would like to see pitch. So let's see what some of your responses were.
Thanks, folks.
Nick Clams wants to see Brandon Nimmo out there. That will not happen. Rosario, that won't happen. See, you got to play with this, folks.
Yeah,
Conforto, that's not going to happen either. It's not going to be your young, valuable players.
Me?
Keith
had a good hook in his day.
Oh. Yeah, but I got a little rotator cuff issue.
You do.
See, you got to know how you play this game, folks.
Yeah.
The guys who might pitch are the, let's just say, fringier players.
Extraneous.
Your backup catcher, your 37-year-old outfielder, your 35-year-old backup infielder.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are your candidates. One to Wieters, who delivered an RBI single in the 2nd. He's 1 for 2. Still plenty of time to figure all that out.
Maybe reboot what you were thinking. Come back at us.
Now, if I remember this correctly, that's driven to left center, but Jackson playing over that way, able to pick it off to retire Wieters. Didn't Joe Madden use 3 different position players in one game?
Yes,
to
he did.
So maybe the Mets will go that route and try and get, say, 3 innings out of their position players.
Like Tommy LaStella was one. Vic Caratini was another.
Now Roark's up for the 4th time. They say anytime a pitcher gets 4 plate appearances, is that a good day? Well, he's getting his 4th plate appearance in the 5th inning.
That's run support.
Well, he was responsible for some of that. He hit the bases loaded double in the 1st that broke this game open. Toward the middle, and he's got another base hit. So Roark joining the party yet again. He's 2 for 4.
Oh, it almost took his head off.
You know, Gary, the position, the problem for the position player is that for pitchers, you've had to hear them talk about their schoolboy days when they threw 100 and struck out 20 in a game, and they were the greatest pitcher, but they were also a great fielder, so they made themselves into an everyday player. So they've been talking all this smack for years and years and years, and finally they get their shot and they go out there and they're usually awful.
Hey, it is different throwing from the mound than from your position. It's a whole different ball game.
Who did I see pitching the other day? You might know this, Ronnie. Threw a really good knuckleball. Somebody had a really nice dancing knuckleball.
I want to say Eric Kratz.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
that's who it was. By the way, Trey Turner's up for the 5th time, and it's the 5th inning. Single twice in the 1st, hit into a fielder's choice in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, and now batting in the 5th. And Dave Island, if there were still long distance charges, would have a lot of them on the phone tonight.
To buy a new plan.
There's ball 4, and the bases are loaded. 2nd walk in the inning given up by Batchelor. And here comes Dave for another mound visit.
Want me to do a promo, Gary?
Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Even Haji can do it.
Yes.
Oh.
More on that later.
Yep. Haji's going to make an appearance soon.
There's Jerry Up, the veteran. My favorite story is we had an off day in Montreal. We had extra hitting, and there happened to be a gun there available. And Strawberry had always told Gooden how he threw 100. Radar gun, sorry. Radar gun.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Boy.
Apologize.
Glad I wasn't there.
So the radar gun, and Straw got on the mound, and after about 20 throws, could never break 80.
Really?
Couldn't break 80.
There's Rendon, who's already got 2 hits and a walk. Batting with the bases loaded and 2 out. Who is the best you've ever seen position player on the mound?
Huh. I haven't seen a lot of position players on the mound. I don't think.
I can't recall.
No. You just didn't do it in those days. You just let someone own it. One of the relievers.
It's on the corner with a breaking ball. Do you ever look at Terry Collins' minor league numbers as a pitcher?
I did look at those. Yeah, he was very prolific. He got lots of opportunities.
And he was good.
Let's see if the Mets can get a goose egg here.
Coming up later, the latest edition of Media Guide Musings.
You go, Keith.
1-2. That's it toward right center. Back in the gap goes Nimmo, and he can't get there. Taylor is in. Roark is in. Turner is in. Another bases clearing double. This one for Rendon. 19-0.
Oh my gosh.
So much for your goose egg, Keith.
Oh. That's 4 straight threes up on the board there.
So go with the 7. Another call to the bullpen. Jerry Blevins will be next. It's quite a poker hand. 19-0 Nats. That was Matt Franco performance, 99. Jerry Blevins will be the 5th Met pitcher coming on in the 5th inning to face Bryce Harper, who's up for the 5th time. Harper's already got a pair of doubles. He's driven in 2. Just from an historical perspective, the most runs the Mets have ever given up in a game is 26. You guys were there for that against the Phillies.
Yes.
26-7 was the final in that game.
Did not pitch in that one.
Tom Gorman did.
Gorfax.
Joe Sambito did. The worst shutout loss in Mets history was 16-0. That was against the Braves in '99. Matt Franco pitched in that game.
Not anymore.
Well, this one would have to stay a shutout. There's no guarantee that's going to happen. But if it were to end this way, it would be the worst shutout loss the Mets have ever suffered. But they do have 4 more turns at bat. Harper takes a rip at a curveball and comes up empty, 1-2. So Blevins, Harper, on a grand scale, that's a big, important matchup for the Mets. Do you take any solace out of this if Blevins can get Harper out here?
Absolutely none.
Okay. One-two coming. And he misses with the curveball. By the way, the biggest shutout victory in Mets history happened just a couple of years ago. The Mets beat the Phillies a game 17-0. It was 2016. Down the stretch of the Mets wild card run. It was right before the Asdrubal walk-off against Ramos, right?
That's right. Wonder if they hugged it out. Ramos on that roster?
Yeah, I'm sure that they probably had a conversation, if nothing else. Bygones. Or as Ricky Henderson would say, let bye-byes be bye-byes.
Rico, one of my favorites. Classic.
You know, that big series in Pittsburgh, Gary, 4-3 Pittsburgh over the Cubs in the 7th.
Cubs with a 1-game lead on the Brewers, 7 over the Pirates starting the night.
Pirates trying to get back in and a serious wild card threat.
Harper just got a piece of that curveball. Well, the Pirates went for it. I mean, they picked up Kella to help with the bullpen. Another guy who can close for them. They picked up Chris Archer to help out with the rotation.
I believe Arrieta's pitching against Boston tonight. It's 2-0 Philly in the 6th.
Phillies have not been scoring 7 runs in their last 4 games. 3-2, and Harper hits the curveball down the left field line. Conforto to the sidewall, makes a nice catch, and that retires the side. So Blevins comes in to get Harper. Conforto makes a nice play. It's 19-0 after 5. Davey Martinez will start to take some folks out. Wilmer Defoe takes over at second base. Matt Adams in right field. So Murphy and Harper are done for the night. Tanner Roark still out there chucking, starting his 3rd time around the Mets batting order. Ahmed Rosario's reached on an error flied out, 0 for 2. Now 0 for his last 16, the longest 0 for of his young career. And quickly down to the count 0-2. Nimmo and Evans to follow. Mets have had 3 hits over the first 5 innings. The Nats have had 19. And the curveball poked foul.
Now that's a differential.
Here's your Mets box score brought to you by Fios. There are your 3 hits. Flores, who had to leave the game in the first inning with dizziness and dehydration. It's been that kind of night. Jackson and Plawecki the other hits. And Rosario hits one to Defoe. Just into the game. 1 out. So Roark, who threw 8 scoreless innings against the Brewers his last time out as some light rain begins to fall. 5 1/3 more scoreless innings tonight. And it's amazing when you think about where he was before that last start against the Brewers. His previous 6 starts he pitched to an 8.31 ERA. Nimmo flies one along the left field line and Soto drifts over. Looking through the raindrops. 2 out.
You know, Gary, I don't watch Tanner on every start, but my theory in watching the starts that I saw was that, you know how we talk sometimes about hitters incorporating the launch angle and some are going to really thrive from it, and we're going to see a lot of hitters lose their career over it.
Right.
I think when you're a sinker ball guy, a guy who pitches on the corner like Roark, and you start to use some of these analytics of pitching up in the zone, you end up not being on the knees, you end up not being at the letters, you end up spending a lot of time in the middle of the plate. And I think that the games I've seen, that's what's happened to Tanner. Certainly not tonight.
Whatever it is, he seems to have figured something out. Gets his curveball in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Evans up for the second time, grounded out after coming on for Flores. And he flies this one out to right. Adams coming in and toward the line. And he two-hands it to be sure. And he needed to. 6 scoreless innings for Roark, still 19-0. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. The Nationals have scored at least 3 runs in each of the first 5. Jerry Blevins will try and put an end to that. Ryan Zimmerman leads off in the home 6th. So the 19-run deficit the Mets are suffering through right now matches the largest deficit that the Mets have ever faced at any point in any game in their 57-year history. We mentioned the 26-7 game in Philadelphia in 1985, and that was 19, and this one matches it.
Well, in that game, Tom Gorman was the starting pitcher and gave up 6 runs. And then Joe Sambito and Calvin Schiraldi each gave up 10 in relief. Doug Sisk finished that game up.
Who had the outfielder had the big game for them? Von Hayes. Von Hayes had the big day.
Didn't he have 2 home runs in the first inning?
A solo shot to lead off the game. He was the leadoff hitter, and a grand slam.
Davey took me out after the first inning.
Michelob time.
Oh yes.
By the way, if you're wondering what the largest shutout in Major League history it was, 1883. The great Hoss Radbourn pitched Providence to a 28-0 victory over Philadelphia. They were both in the National League at the time. Leadoff walk for Zimmerman. Let's check in with Doug Williams in the studio for a game break brought to you by our Tri-Honda dealers. Thank you. Nice to see a closer game exist somewhere else. Here's Juan Soto, who's 2 for 4 already tonight. He takes a strike. By the way, modern history, the Pirates shut out the Cubs at Wrigley in 1975, 22-0. That's the modern record for most lopsided shutout. They did not have the Pirates' old Haas Radborn pitching. They did, however, have John Candelaria.
Oh, Candyman.
Soto flies one to left, and Conforto's right there. One out.
Keith, didn't you have didn't John Stuper pitch a lopsided shutout in the '82 World Series?
Yes, that would have been Game 6.
11-0 or something like that.
Yes, I hit
That's
it.
right.
We beat Don Sutton. We knocked him out.
Well, also wasn't Game 7 in '85 a lopsided
I think it was
shutout as well?
9-0,
Yes, Tudor.
but I could be wrong.
Tudor got lunched.
Matt Adams batting for the first time, flies one out to right, and Nimmo puts it away for the second out.
I don't know why that phrase is around, but in our day, that if you really got hit hard, you'd say, "What happened to RJ today?" "Oh man, he got his lunch."
Got his lunch. That's right.
Transfer the seat. Body sharp.
Yeah, that Game 7 was over quick.
And Saberhagen threw the shutout, right?
Yes,
for the
he did.
Royals. 21 years old. Shutout in Game 7 of the World Series. Michael Taylor 2 for 3 and a walk. He has a single and a triple tonight. And hits the curveball into right center for the Nats' 20th hit of the night. And Taylor's third. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. The franchise record for the Expos and the Nationals for most RBIs in a season. It was Vladdy. Part of the half dozen players who went into the Hall of Fame on Sunday.
That's a number. That's a big year.
Here's Matt Wieters, 1 for 3 and a walk tonight.
That Kansas City Cardinal game was 11-0, Gary. 11-0, Gary.
There you go.
Game 7.
Wieters pokes one down the right field side, foul. Broke his bat. He'll come back for a new one.
So until they made those defensive changes, 7 of their 9 guys that started this game at least had 2 hits or more, and everyone has a hit. Wow. I guess that's how you get to 20.
Well, into every season, a little rain must fall.
We've certainly had our share this year. It's been a real wet season.
That's lined down the left field line and hooking foul. Well, we've had proverbial monsoons and haboobs.
Haboobs, that's right.
And Atlanta had a big long rain delay tonight. They're just starting there in the first inning.
See, Keith is talking about actual rain. I think I'm talking more about figurative rain.
Well, I thought I'd be real.
Well, you're right on top of the weather. I do know that.
Well,
did you see what the haboob did last night? Knocked out power in Phoenix.
That's right.
The dust storm. And Blevins does something that nobody has done before in a Mets uniform tonight. He holds the Nationals without a run. After 5 straight innings, they scored 3 or more. Well done, Jerry. That game, Doug, marks the major league debut of 20-year-old left-hander Colby Allard making his debut for the Braves. Michael Conforto leads off in the 7th for New York against Tanner Roark.
So Acuna Jr. hit the home run is 20.
Right.
Ozzie Albies is 21. Mike Soroka is on the DL right now is 20. And Allard in there now to pitch is 22. It's 20 also.
20, yeah. That's. I wonder if any big league team has had that many guys 21 and under play for them, you know, this early in a season.
I'm thinking maybe an expansion team or something, but
Conforto pops one up on the left side. Rendon trailing out. Soto coming in to call, and Soto puts it away. 1 out. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Fios. The best way to watch your Mets all season long. Get the 100% fiber optic network. Visit getfios.com. Hey, is this the inning after which we get to see Haji?
Yes.
I mean, never better timing than Haji for this game.
Bautista pops one a mile high. Who's going to play it? Wieters can't catch it. That's got to be Zimmerman's ball. I don't know what he was thinking. I mean, it's 19-0, but still.
Help, you know, take charge.
So Bautista gets a life. Haven't heard yet whether they're going to charge an error. Jose has grounded out both his at bats tonight. He takes a whack at that one and fouls it back. So is this Haji's first commercial?
No. No, he's done several. This is the first, and not the first one for SNY. I don't believe he's done some. You know, he's starting to get paid pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his rate up to? Does he have his own agent?
Me, and I get 10% off the top.
And where does the rest of it go? I mean, we're talking about a gold-plated food dish.
As you'll see in this piece, because we watched it before the game, he's got a lot of toys.
That's true. Transportation issues.
You should see him on the computer.
Bautista gets tied up, and he went around strike 3.
Yeah, I think anything close is going to be an OUT.
That's 7 strikeouts for Roark. He had 89 pitches. Might be able to get him through the 8th.
Yeah, and he struck out 11 in his last start. That's a check swing to me, but in the losing by 19 runs, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I understand your frustration, Jose, but it's 19-0 and it's raining.
Jeff McNeil hits one deep down the line toward the corner. That ball is out of here. First major league home run for Jeff McNeil, and it breaks the shutout. McNeil, who had 19 in the minor leagues this year, has his first in the major leagues, and they'll save that ball. Jeff McNeil, one for the mantelpiece, his first big league home run.
Keith, it looked like he caught a little first pitch breaking ball.
Oh, he wants to look. Oh, there you go.
He's got the ball in his hand. Ball hit the facing of the second deck and came back. So the Mets will not suffer their worst shutout loss ever. It's now 19-1. Good for Jeff.
Well, here's the pitch. Oh, just a hanging slider, RJ. Big uppercut right there. doubter.
Well, he just unleashed his power this season in the minors, and now he has his first bomb in the big leagues. And with that ball coming off that second deck facing, he was able to take the ball into the dugout. I don't know if that's ever happened before. Guy gets his first big league home run and brings it into the dugout with him. Turner the jump throw, and Zimmerman a nice pick, and they get Jackson to end the inning. But Jeff McNeil, with his first big league home run, gets the Mets on the board. Number 1. It's 19-1. Brought to you by Citi, preferred card of the New York Mets. By Nationwide, speak with Rich Grillo in Massapequa or James Finero in Bethpage today. And by your local Ford dealer for great deals on Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. Visit buyfordnow.com. Jeff McNeil, first big league home run. Let's check in with Steve.
Gary.
Hello, Steve.
How are you?
Doing just great, Steve.
That's wonderful. Listen, we've been together now, I don't know, 4 parts of 5 seasons. I know you don't need to overtly say it, but you guys were probably a little worried about me. It's not the nicest night. It's raining out. It's very humid. Just wanted to update you. I found some cover, and I also found a fan that sprays mist out, so I am living my best life. No need to fret. And you 3, I just wanted to let you know, doing a wonderful job in this very difficult game.
Steve, never thought about you once.
Ron, I know you're saying that publicly, but I know it's in your heart.
Okay.
Drew Smith's on to pitch. Steve, you need to do a little investigative reporting. And the reason I say that is we have been in venues where it's very dry and they have misters like the one that's above your head.
Yes.
For instance, in Phoenix, they're kind of standard issue in the desert as Smith handles the comebacker from Roark, and he's retired for the first out. I'd like you to try and find out why in the world there's a mister in Washington, the most humid city on earth.
Gary, that would involve me doing some work the rest of the night.
That's exactly what I was proposing, Steve.
I know, but I was just kind of checking in to say hi.
I was thinking maybe you were bored and you wanted something to do.
A little of both, but I mean, I guess. How much time we have left?
Steve,
2 innings?
we need something after Haji.
It's hard to top Haji.
I mean, media media guide musings is ahead at some point, but there's still space for you to weigh in on the Mr. question.
All right, I'll give it my best shot. I can't promise anything. I'm not promising anything. I don't feel it right now.
You know, sometimes you have to do your best work when the conditions are the roughest.
I think that's when you're always supposed to do your best work.
Trey Turner's been on base 3 times with 2 singles and a walk. He's stolen 2 bases. He's scored 2 runs, and he fouls 1 off. And it's 0-2. Drew Smith's last outing was the first game in Pittsburgh last Thursday. He gave up a run and an inning of work. He is the 6th Met pitcher to work in this game. Only 1 has come away unscathed, and that was Jerry Blevins, who went an inning and a third, no runs, 1 hit. So you've got this inning and then 1 more inning to cover. So do we think that Jose Reyes or another position player is going to pitch the 8th?
I think they're going to try to get Drew Smith through 2 here.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen. I'm all for the everyday player pitching.
It certainly adds a little novelty to the festivities. Not that the Mets are feeling particularly festive tonight, although they at least have one thing to celebrate when this game ends, and that's Jeff McNeil and his home run.
That's right.
Not a whole lot of else to smile about. The other thing that's going to go by the wayside today. It's slowly to the right side. Smith will have to cover, and Evans threw it behind him, and Smith can't get to the bag to beat the speedy Turner. And Herner's aboard yet again.
That's going to be a hit, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be a hit.
Evans, remember, playing his first professional game at first base. And that's a hard one to execute.
Yes, it is. And was Smith a little tardy getting there?
He just no. I mean, you're going against Turner. You have to know who the runner is. He's one of the fastest guys in all of baseball.
And that will be a base hit. Third for Turner, the 21st for the Nationals. And now Rendon, who has 3 hits of his own and 4 runs driven in today.
I find it funny. I think that Rain, Peterson, Bachelor, and Smith, I almost put them in the same category, the type of pitcher they are. And down the stretch, they're going to try to distinguish themselves from each other.
Luis Guillorme is in at third base with Bautista getting the rest of the night off. No hit in the 9 hole as the Mets double switched when Smith came in.
Snuck in there.
Yep. That leaves only Reyes and Mesoraco left on the bench. Anybody see Jose go down to the bullpen?
No. They have the hitting cages here. That's where he could loosen up. He's on the bench right now. He's got kind of a sly kind of grin, though, like he's waiting for his time.
Ever since Mickey and Dave went over to talk to him earlier, he's had that sly look on his face.
That's probably your next pitcher right there, Seawald. You've got your 2 long men in Lugo and Gazelman. They're not going to see action.
Well, if you're able to save Lugo, Gazelman, and Swarzak for tomorrow, you've done well.
Yes,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You're not going to use them because, you know, you're hoping Syndergaard will pitch a good game tomorrow, and you'll need those guys late in the game.
There's only 1 more inning after this, and I don't. Oh boy.
Driven deep, but hooking. Foul. Rendon didn't miss one by much. Hit that deep into the night.
Wasn't one of the stats we gave out before the game started is that Matz never gave up an earned run here?
That's correct.
20 innings.
Well, he made up for lost time tonight.
Yes, he did.
7 runs in 2/3 of an inning against Matz tonight, and the rout was on. Jacob Rame didn't fare much better. He went 2 innings, gave up 6 runs, 7 hits. Tim Peterson an inning and a third, 3 runs, 2 hits. Tyler Batchelor 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs, 2 hits. And then Blevins finally settled things down when an inning in the third, no runs, 1 hit. Again, the 1-2 to Grandon, and again a foul ball. Souvenirs flying hither and yon. That one was hit to yon.
What's hither, down the right field line?
Guess so. Double play ball. The turn. Rosario dropped it on the transfer. And yet another double play not turned by the Mets. So the inning continues. That's the second out as they get the force on Turner.
Perfect feed. Just can't get it out of his glove.
So that'll give Wilmer Defoe his first turn at bat. He's hitting in Harper's spot in the lineup after coming in for defense. Harper had a pair of RBI doubles in the game. Defoe hitting at .239. Well, Smith started this inning throwing 98. On the corner, 1-1. They're in the 9th in Pittsburgh. Pirates leading the Cubs 5-3, and Felipe Vasquez in to try and close it. Boy, he looked impressive against the Mets.
Yes, he did.
Defoe pops one up. Rosario out. Conforto in, but Rosario picks it off, and that retires the side. So Smith puts up a 0 in the bottom of the 7th. That sends us off to the 8th. It's been all Washington. The Nationals, Wander Suero was just recalled today when Brandon Kinsler was traded to the Cubs. Tanner Roark went 7 innings, allowed a run on 4 hits. Will on the way to his 5th win of the year. And with the score and the weather and everything being as it is, we are going to unveil another edition of what we like to call media guide musings, and this is going to be a collaborative effort. We're going to start on page number 420 of the Mets media guide, the postseason section of the media guide. The first page of the postseason section is the 1969 League Championship Series, Atlanta Braves versus New York Mets. Mets won series 3-0. In the club's first ever trip to the postseason, the Mets swept the best-of-5 series versus Atlanta 3-0. In Game 1, trailing 5-4 in the top of the 8th, New York rallied for 5 runs and a 9-5 win. Tom Seaver struggled, allowed 5 runs in 7 innings, but earned the victory. In Game 2, 2-run home runs by Tommy Agee, Ken Boswell, and Cleon Jones lifted the Mets to an 11-6 win. In front of 54,195 fans at Shea, I might add parenthetically, I was one of them.
Wow.
New York advanced to the World Series with a 7-4 victory in Game 3. The lead changed hands 3 times before Wayne Garrett's 2-run homer at the bottom of the 5th put the Mets ahead 5-4. Nolan Ryan hurled 7 innings in relief to pick up the win and complete the sweep. Boswell hit .333 with 2 home runs and 5 RBI, while Agee batted .357 with 2 home runs and 4 RBI. Hank Aaron cracked a home run in each game and drove in 7 runs for the Braves. We're going to move to page 422.
Is it my turn to read?
Yeah, your turn.
Page 422 if you have it at home, folks. This is the 1969 World Series, the Baltimore Orioles versus the Mets. Mets, of course, won the series 4-1. The New York Mets entered the 1969 World Series as heavy underdogs against Baltimore. After failing in Game 1, the Amazons rattled off 4 straight wins to earn their first championship just 8 years after the franchise was born. In Game 1, Baltimore's leadoff batter Don Buford smacked a home run off Tom Seaver. Mike Cuellar and the Orioles went on to a 4-1 triumph. But in Game 2, Jerry Koosman tossed 6 no-hit innings, before Paul Blair singled to lead off the 7th. With the game tied 1-1 in the 9th, Ed Charles, Jerry Grody, and Al Weiss strung together consecutive 2-out singles to give New York a 2-1 lead. Koosman then retired the first 2 batters in the 9th before walking the next 2. Ron Taylor got the final out, retiring Brooks Robinson to even the series at 1 game. There's a lot to go. I think we should pass it along.
Want me to pick it up?
Yeah, right here.
It's like a Seder.
Yeah.
A raucous Shea crowd. That must be Gary. 56,335.
I wasn't there for that.
Watch the Mets shut out Baltimore. Don't interrupt. Shut out Baltimore 5-0 in Game 3. Tommy Agee hit a leadoff home run off Jim Palmer, the only leadoff home run the Hall of Famer would ever allow to put the Mets on board early in the 4th. The Orioles threatened with runners at the corners and 2 outs when Agee made a running backhanded catch. You remember that, folks, at the warning track in left center to Rob Elrod Hendricks. In the 7th, Baltimore loaded the bases with 2 outs, and Paul Blair laced a high drive to right center. Agee running full tilt caught the ball sprawling on the warning track. You all remember that. Agee had made 2 of the greatest World Series catches ever, just 3 innings apart. In Game 4, Tom Seaver outdueled Mike Cuellar in a thrilling 10-inning 2-1 victory. Don Clendenin belted a solo home run in the 2nd. What a great pickup that was. In the 2nd to give the Mets a 1-0 lead, which would hold up until the 9th. The Orioles pushed runners at 1st and 3rd with 1 out. Brooks Robinson came up to the plate, laced a sinking line drive to right center. Ron Swoboda made a full-length diving catch. The tying run scored, but the brilliant catch prevented further damage. In the bottom of the 10th, with runners at 1st and 2nd and nobody out, J.C. Martin pinch hit for Seaver. Martin dropped a bunt down, and Oriole pitcher Pete Rickert fielded the ball, but his throw hit Martin and the ball caromed into right field, allowing Rod Gasper to score from second. The Mets were 1 win away from their first title, while Baltimore argued that Martin was outside the base path. Gary, you finish.
Right in the middle of the sentence? Oh, that's the end of the sentence.
Yeah, I didn't read that properly.
I got you. By the way, congratulations for pronouncing Rod Gasper's name correctly, because most people mispronounce it and call him Gaspar.
Yes.
But it's Gasper.
Yes,
That's
Gasper.
very well done on your part. I was
Thank you.
very impressed.
Thank you.
I'm glad I didn't get that part.
The unthinkable occurred on October 16, 1969 at Shea. Behind a 5-3 victory, New York's lovable losers were champions. The Orioles led 3-0 early, but home runs by Clendenin and Weiss tied the game. In the 8th, Swoboda gave the Mets the lead with an RBI double. Koosman induced future Mets manager Davey Johnson to fly out to Cleon Jones in left field for the final out. Jones, Sport Magazine, and Weiss, Baseball Writers of America, were the series MVPs. And so concludes page 422, the 1969 World Series.
Very nice reading,
We're
guys.
pausing media guide musings so we can all catch our breath, think about what we've just learned. For those of us who were not alive 49 years ago, that's the story of the Mets' first ever postseason in 1969. So what have we learned?
I knew about, but I didn't know exactly the whole J.C. Martin play. You know, that Baltimore had argued that he was out of the baseline.
Which he was, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was inside the line.
He was too far into fair territory, inside the running lane, when he got hit by Rickard's throw. No question. But, several things happened in that World Series that seemed to make it obvious that the Mets were fated to win.
Yes.
Like the shoe polish play in Game 5.
That's right.
Cleon Jones may or may not have been hit on the foot by a pitch. The ball ended up in the Mets dugout, and Gil Hodges presented it to the home plate umpire. I think it was Augie Donatelli, if I'm not mistaken, with shoe polish on it, claiming that it was the ball that hit Cleon's foot, and they awarded Cleon first base.
Which I think Earl Weaver went ballistic.
And then Don Clendenin followed with a home run. Strike 3 called. Rosario is out on strikes. That's the second out of the inning.
Well, certainly Keith and I know that a lot of things have to go right in certain World Series to win them.
I got the biggest kick out of that series watching on TV, because remember, the Mets were never a game of the week back in those days when you didn't have baseball and you can watch every team anytime you want. You waited for game of the week, and you had an X amount of games, very little games of your home team, which for me was the Giants. What I remember is the people filing off the 7 train down the stairs.
Yeah, that was in right
over
field.
in right center field, over the bullpen, and I got the biggest kick out of that.
Nimmo lines one into center field for a base hit. Guillorme will go first to third. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 out. Nimmo snaps an 0 for 10 stretch with that base hit.
Well, never give up on an at bat. That's a hanging slider.
Now the Swoboda catch on the pitch thrown by Seaver to Brooks Robinson, obviously a day game.
Oh, they all were day
all
games.
Were day games, yeah. So Houston doing night games that end at midnight.
So you can imagine Seaver, Koosman, and Gentry and Ryan in the shadows.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Well, they had some pretty good pitching over there in Baltimore too.
Hey, when Swoboda made the catch, that was destiny. Then it was just.
I mean, and think about it. If he doesn't catch that ball, it probably rolls back to the wall. The tying run scored. It was a sacrifice fly
Frank
in
Robinson.
the 9th inning. I mean, the winning run could have easily been at third, or maybe even scored.
Right.
Could have been an inside the park home run.
And I don't know this for a fact, but from Mets people that I know, he wasn't exactly known for his defense, Ron Swoboda.
No, there's a reason why he was known as Rocky. No, Swoboda was absolutely not known for his defense, which makes it that much more spectacular that he made that play. Phillip Evans 0 for 2 after coming on for a dehydrated and dizzy Wilmer Flores.
Well, I remember game 1 when Buford led off with the home run off Seaver. And, you know, I'm in California. I'm going, well, you know, we didn't realize, you know, the Mets, right? They made the great run. They won 100 games. A lot of people don't remember that. I know you Met fans do. But it was like, okay, here comes Baltimore to steamroll.
Well, they were in the middle of a dynasty, you know, beginning their dynasty, Baltimore.
Well, they won 109 games that year.
That's right.
And after they won that first game, I thought maybe the most important thing that happened, and people always forget this, and you read it so eloquently, Ronnie. Jerry Koosman carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning in game 2 and kind of reestablished the Mets pitching as the dominant force in the series. Koosman always gets left in the background.
He does.
Tonight's starters brought to you by People's United Bank.
Tanner Roark was Koosman-like, but tough night for Steven.
And Evans takes strike 3 called, side retire. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Wander Suero. We go to the bottom of the 8th. That music. Bottom of the 8th, and look who's on the mound. Jose Reyes was ready to pitch for the first time in his professional career. Ryan Zimmerman was not ready for him to pitch, and we already have controversy.
Jose looks very nervous.
And he throws just the way he does from shortstop. That little short arm ball, a fastball at 80 miles an hour in for a strike. And wasting no time, and Zimmerman lifts one out to right center. Back in the gap goes Jackson with Nimmo, and Nimmo makes the catch on the warning track. And Reyes now has an ERA. It's 0.
Nice.
His 1,843rd major league game. His first one ever to appear on the mound.
Now the all thing about everyday players is when we see his breaking ball, when he breaks that out.
If he does,
he's got to throw at least one.
He's throwing around, what, 89 it said?
80.
And Juan Soto takes a 77-mile-an-hour pitch for a strike.
There it is.
The first breaking ball, and Soto gets a kick out of that. Soto, a 19-year-old kid from the Dominican who, you know, was a baby when Reyes started his major league career. Probably grew up idolizing Jose.
Backdoor hook for the strikeout. Come on, Jose.
1-2.
Oh,
he tried it.
No, Got to pull the shade. Get it out in front and snap it.
And he makes him move his feet. That's the hardest pitch he's thrown at 83. And Soto drills one deep down the line. Foul.
Keep it away.
This is how it all started. Reyes was rearing and ready to go. Zimmerman wasn't even in the batter's box yet. just wait a second.
See, there's a decorum. That
The thing is, Reyes is always ready to hit too. Remember when he used to lead off and he'd be out there in the on deck circle 10 minutes before the game started?
That's right. That's the first time I've ever seen him nervous on a field. I'm not kidding.
I think you're right. And Soto fouls off another one. 87. He's just getting warmed up. Another pitcher with a single digit running.
Yes, that's right. This is, at some point, Soto's got to respect his elders here, doesn't he?
No prisoners.
No prisoners?
No prisoners.
Come on. Have you no empathy?
I took Tommy Hutton deep in St. Louis for 3-run shot.
Soto lines one into right field. He's got a base hit. Nimmo goes over and tracks it down. Soto heads for second. And he slides in safely with the first ever hit given up by Jose Reyes. Soto's third hit of the night. Meanwhile, Reyes is wearing Jacob deGrom's glove, trying to get a little magic to rub off.
That cannot be his gamer. That's got to be his second.
There's Matt Adams, and he takes curveball outside. Adams up for the second time. Flied out in his only at bat. Jacob wants to see his glove succeed.
And Adrian Johnson, you got to punch a hole in that mask. Start opening up that strike zone. Anything close has got to be a strike.
Adams hits one out to right center. Back in the gap goes Nimmo, and that's out of here.
No,
It's the fan interference, so it's going to be a double. It'll bring in a run. Ball went over the wall, but they say a fan interfered, and so there's the first run against Reyes to make it 20-1.
I don't know if
I don't think he interfered.
That's a home run.
And look, guys, come on. Let's make it snappy here. They're going to call that a home run.
It should be a home run.
It is a home run. I mean, it should be a home run.
Ball does not need to clear that white railing. It just needs to clear the green at the top of the fence.
The fan really did not have the ability to interfere.
That's definitely a home run.
They're going to hold, and they're going to stay with it. Oh, no, they're going to. Oh.
They're going to go to replay. They have to. Just you know, for Adams' sake, can't take a home run away from him. That definitely should be a home run.
Should be a quick decision.
And now, you know, Reyes is going to lose his rhythm during the replay.
Exactly. He should be throwing some pitches, staying loose.
So it all started out so well for Jose, retiring his first batter, Zimmerman on a fly ball, but then Soto battled him for 10 pitches before lacing a double. And Adams takes him to the top of the fence and beyond. And we'll see what the umpires come up with. Jerry Lane and Mark Wegner are in the replay center with their crews, so it's either 20-1 or 21-1.
There's only one way to really get hitters out if you're an everyday player. You either have to have real stuff, you know, good slider, curveball, whatever, or you have to throw so slow that it's below the hitting range. Because if you throw 75 or so, that's kind of batting practice.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Looks like we might have a decision.
Okay, here we go.
And it is a home run. So Matt Adams with a 2-run homer. It's 21-1. The first time in their 57-year history the Mets have ever trailed a game by 20 runs. For Adams, his 17th home run of the year. And the Nats' 4th home run of the night.
Jose's getting tired. He's dropping that elbow, the arm down on that breaking ball.
Well, the Mets still have Devin Mesoraco in the dugout. Maybe he'll be on in long relief.
Nope.
Curveball's not working for him.
See, that to me is a strike in a 21-1 game.
Right. And Taylor takes a walk. This 2-game series closes out tomorrow with a noon time start. Noah Syndergaard makes his return from the disabled list as the Mets start a brand new month. We'll come to you with pregame coverage at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. There's Matt Wieters. Reyes having trouble locating the strike zone.
You get a little hesitant in that strike zone after you just gave up a 2-run bomb.
That was close enough to call.
Come on, Adrian. Yo.
Mark Reynolds on deck to pinch hit. And now 3-0 to Wieters.
I think Jose can do a windup if he wants. No one's going to run.
So back-to-back walks. And now a quick message from your Tri-State Porsche dealers. So 4 straight base runners now after Reyes got his first man out. And now Mark Reynolds takes a strike. So there you go. He's relocated the strike zone.
Uh-oh. Pressure.
Oh, and a strikeout yet.
Pressure on Reynolds.
0-2. Oh, he just got a piece of the breaking ball. Well, you know, if you're going to strike somebody out, Reynolds is certainly a prime candidate. Over his career, he's been a guy who strikes out a ton. Reyes looking for that punch out. Instead of fly ball to center field, chases Jackson back, away back near the wall. It's out of here. Oh, Lord. Mark Reynolds adds a 3-run homer. And it's 24-1. So the Nats, who hung 23 on the Mets last year on April 30th, do that one better. 24-1 tonight.
Uncle. High fastball. Oh, down the pipe.
Now Trey Turner up for the 7th time in this game. Now you know what it feels like, Jose. It's no fun. Looks so easy when you guys do it.
Not always, but I mean, didn't have a pitcher finish the first. I'd hate to see Jose not finish the 9th.
Well, I mean,
or the 8th.
What's the limit?
I don't think there is one.
He doesn't have a pitch count limit?
No pitch count.
Here's a strike 3 and 2 to Turner, who has 3 hits and a walk tonight. Officially 3 for 5. And he lines one to center field for another hit.
Oh boy.
A 4-hit night for Turner. And the 4th hit Reyes has given up in this 9th inning, in this 8th inning, including a couple of home runs.
I was going to say, have one of these infielders come in and talk to him, but they're all so young they don't know what to do. No. But one of them should, hey, listen, you're having fun. We're going to get a couple outs. Let him put in play. We got it. Something.
I think he's talking with his compatriots there. What do I do next? Here's Rendon. Rendon has 3 hits. He's driven in 4 runs. How many times do you get 7 plate appearances in a 9-inning game? Rendon flies one out to left. This one might be playable for Conforto over near the sidewall. He reels it in fair territory, and that's the second out. So Rendon, who hit a home run against Kevin Plawecki last year in that 23-run Nationals barrage, unable to cash in on the position player this time. And Wilmer Defoe will come up with 2 out. Reyes gets fastball in for a strike.
Feeling a little better here. Defoe's not known as a home run hitter, so feeling a little more aggressive. 85.
Well, now he's again got it set out for that elusive punch out on his 39th pitch of the inning. He goes to the curveball.
Doesn't have an out pitch.
Maybe he should try a splitter.
Get out.
1-2. And Defoe has to jump out of the way. 2-2. 40 pitches deep into this 8th inning, and Reyes still looking for the escape hatch. And Defoe rifles one to right. Nimmo lays out, can't get it, and a roll back to the wall. Turner on his way to third. He's going to score easily. Defoe heads to third. He's got an RBI triple, and it's 25-1.
I think this is just to give Jose a breather here. Dave Island going out to have a chat.
I like to try by Nimmo, right? Just trying to rescue his player.
Well, Paul Sewall's going to get up in the Mets bullpen. The Mets obviously didn't want to use Sewall, but with Reyes having thrown 41 pitches and given up 6 runs in this 8th inning. So 26 runs is the most the Mets have ever given up. 25 is the number right now.
And the Nationals batted around in the first.
Well, they got him out. Zimmerman's been made the one of the outs.
Hit one to the warning track and right that Nimmo caught. A couple of curveballs from Reyes, and he gets ahead again. 0-2. Pitch number 44 for Jose, and the very slow curve is pulled foul. 49 miles an hour.
Ephus.
Let's try that again.
Throw it slower.
And he hit him.
Oh,
wow. That's funny. Zimmerman faking like he's going to charge after getting hit by a 54-mile-an-hour curveball.
I'd have got out of the way.
Jose's probably saying, please charge. Maybe both can get thrown out.
Oh, my. You know, it was fun when it started. I don't think it's quite as fun anymore.
It's not.
Here's Soto, and he pulls one over the bag, and that's just foul.
Almost waffled Trip Gibson down the first base line.
Well, we saw Jacob deGrom throw a 45-pitch first inning in Philadelphia earlier this year and get pulled. Jose just threw pitch number 47, and he's still out there. Oh-2 to Soto, and he punches that one down the left field line. Conforto gets over to grab it, and the inning finally comes to an end. Jose Reyes' professional pitching debut, 6 runs in an inning of work. Ninth inning of this debacle, and Sean Kelly will try and get the final 3 outs. Michael Conforto drives one to left center. Soto can't get it. It'll go all the way back to the wall. And Michael Conforto pulls in at second base with a leadoff double. The Mets' 6th hit of the night.
Well, you never want to give away these at bats. Well done. Using left center field, that's been a key to Michael's success in the second half thus far.
It's Kelly's numbers on the year, a lot better than last season where he struggled.
Another way, if the Mets don't score a bunch of runs here, this would be the largest margin of defeat the Mets have ever suffered. The largest margin of defeat in modern Major League history was 27. It was that 30-3 game the Rangers and Orioles played. Reyes has a base hit. Conforto will stop at third. And the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out. Conforto could have scored easily, but down by 24 runs, Glenn Sherlock wasn't going to send him.
And this game won't go away.
The Rangers beat the Orioles 30-3 in the first game of a doubleheader in 2007. Do you remember in that game that Wes Littleton got a save?
3 innings.
Save.
Yes.
In the most lopsided game in modern Major League history. Here's Jeff McNeil, who's provided the only highlight for the Mets tonight. His first Major League home run. That came in the 7th against Tanner Roark, the only run Roark gave up in his 7 innings. Coming up tonight after the post game, Geico Sports Night. All the trade news from today, and there were plenty of deals. Ball and a strike to McNeil. Kelly gets it in for a strike, 1-2.
What's is going to hurt the team ERA?
That hurt a few people's feelings too.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven Matz saw his ERA go up from 3.79 to 4.35.
The umpires are yelling at Kelly for something.
It's the second base umpire, Ryan Addison, the young umpire.
Well, Adrian Johnson started it. I don't know what they were yelling. It was almost like they were telling Kelly to make sure he stopped. I mean,
double play ball. The flip, the turn by Turner, not in time. Conforto comes home, and it's 25-2.
A bad toss by Defoe there. At second, too soft.
So give McNeil his second RBI of the night.
Way too lollipop. That's the difference.
So 1 out, McNeil at first, and here's Austin Jackson, who's 1 for 3. And he hits one in the air to left field. Pretty well hit. Back goes Soto to the track at the wall. It's out of here. Austin Jackson with his first home run as a New York Met. A 2-run shot. And the Mets have put up 3 in the 9th. It's now 25-4. Jackson's first home run of the year. He didn't hit one in 149 at bats as a Giant. He hits one in just his 8th at bat as a Met.
Well, the home run by Jackson was impressive. The reaction by Kelly was even more impressive.
Wow.
That's very unprofessional. It's like, why am I in this game?
I mean, in basketball, it's a technical foul. In baseball, if you're the manager, what do you do about that?
Well, you can't take him out. You don't have anyone warming up, but you definitely will have some things to say after the game.
I mean, your team's up by 21 runs. Just throw the next pitch.
I'd like to know whether the frustration is with the home run or with him and Johnson, who's making him stop and not work so quickly.
They're still woofing. I mean, Adrian Johnson's upset.
I think they're concerned that Met hitters are not set in the box before he's throwing the pitch. Pilecki pops one up in his shallow center, and Taylor comes on. And that's the second out. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple, Nelson Figueroa. See what's coming up on the postgame. Now that's funny.
Don't you dare, by the way.
Rendon into foul ground, can't get to the pop up off the bat of Guillorme. Boy, this has been a weird finish to this game, with Reyes pitching the bottom of the 8th and giving up 6 runs, and now Kelly getting into it with the umpires, and
it's kind of turned into a little bit of a circus.
Yep. Little flare by Guillorme, and that's a base hit to keep the game alive. It's the 4th hit of the inning against Kelly, and Guillorme's on base for the 2nd time. And now Ahmed Rosario will get one more turn, trying to snap out of what is now an 0 for 18 stretch. 0 for 4 tonight.
Well, this ninth, bottom of the 8th and top of the 9th have taken an eternity.
To Rosario. And now the Mets are down to their final strength.
Have you ever seen a pitcher throw his glove after giving a home run up?
I have. I saw it in the playoffs. Can't remember his name. He was a left-hander for the Cubs. And Chris Young hit it off him when he's with the Diamondbacks.
Slowly hit. The running throw on target, and that'll do it. The most lopsided loss in the 57-year history of the New York Mets, as the Nationals strafe Steven Matz in the 1st inning, keep on adding on, and they wound up putting up 25.
Well, you can see Kelly right there. This is one of those games. I mean, it was over quick. Steven Matz way back in that 1st inning didn't even get out of it. 8 hits, 7 runs. Everything just blew up in this ball game.
I was just thinking that that's how the year has run for the Nationals. They win a game 25-4, and it's not without a little bit of controversy themselves.
Well, those are the ugly numbers for the Mets. The game summary presented by Fios by Verizon. 25 runs for the Nats, a new franchise record for them. 21-run margin of defeat, the largest the Mets have ever suffered. And the Mets will go for the split of the series tomorrow with Syndergaard on the mound.